Well, it's classic Monday here at Sale Ford. I've got a year that is a 1995 F-250 7.3, first generation. Customer says it runs or idles rough. This is when Ford had a diesel that sounded like a diesel. Actually runs pretty good. These really old ones are a little easier to diagnose than the later model 7.3s because all the injectors are the same. They don't have a difference in the injectors like the newer models. Plus the way the IDM fires injectors on the older ones, it's a little simpler. So I guess we'll start with the basics and check for codes. Really not a lot to these. I mean, as far as an idle concern goes, it's either an oil-related issue, firing the injectors, or injectors for the most part. And this thing has a gabillion miles on it. So if it hasn't had injectors, it's due. I think it's got 349,000 maybe. I can't remember. Got a little working on these old cream puffs. So the buzzer won't shut off. So what do you do in that case? Just pop the whole cylinder out. Get it out of there. Here's something you always want to see when you're got a drivability problem on a diesel. Good old tuner. Got an old wore out diesel and they got a tuner on it. And they're complaining about it not running right. Okay, you're gonna be really crooked. Just gonna get rid of this glare. Mileage is 358,500 and 25.7. Just getting broke in. Oh man. Glow plug relay control circuit malfunction. Short power, open or grounded circuit, open fuse, damaged relay, damaged. Pick 'em. Alright, it's about 90 degrees today, and I don't think that he's complaining about a hard start. So let's have a little look at some data. He is on. Uh-oh. Not happy about that. Decided he has to give me fits. Alright, so this is obviously not cooperating. We're going to go way back in the day. We're going to have to get the NGS star tester. So I'm going to go get that. Oh, I had the key on the whole time. Keys and batteries going to be dead. Sometimes when you're working on old vehicles, you got to use old scan tools. So this glare is going to be pretty horrific. You can see the you can see the reflection of my shirt in this thing. So we'll just try to wing it. Alright, I gotta ID the vehicle. So vehicle and engine selection, select vehicle. We've got a 1995. Go all the way down here to F series. We got a 7.3 liter. We're good there. Diagnostic data link, PCM, diagnostic trouble codes, tree clear codes. Go! Got a pass. We knew that was going to happen. So then we're going to go to PID data. I'm going to select all. Let's see if that works a little. Oh yeah, we got barrow. We got engine oil temperature, fuel pulse width. We already know what ITAT is. ICP, IPR, map, RPM. This ain't a whole lot better, but it's somewhat better. Start. So our EOT is 117 degrees. Oh man, you cannot see that. No matter what I do. It's in a good view of me though. Can't believe how good the reflection is on this thing. Alright, I'm gonna have to read it to you. So 117 degrees, and about everything else looks about the same. So let's start it up. Our barrel is at 14.6, which is much better than our map, which is at 15. That 0.3 is enough to cause a problem. So we want to do a cylinder contribution test, so we got to get this EOT up to 140 degrees, which is sitting at 117. We're going to let it run for a little bit, then we'll check back. These old 7.3s, they run so cold, it's really hard to get them up to temperature in the bay. Still not warm enough. Alright, let's Let's check these injectors the old school way. This won't give me an indication of which one's bad, but it'll let me know some are bad. What I'm simply going to do is open the water and fuel drain. And if this raggedy, rough idle smooths out, then it needs injectors. We'll talk about it afterwards. So let's see what happens. So that didn't make any difference whatsoever. There's the drain I was talking about. So I just flipped that over and allowed the fuel basically to relieve the pressure on the system. And the theory behind it is if you relieve the pressure on the system, then if the injectors are scored or scuffed, they'll operate more easily without pressure pushing them to the one side or the other. They'll kind of center themselves up. So I'm going to go to drive it, get this thing up to operating temperature so we can do a balance test. So I just drove this thing all over tarnation and trying to get it to warm up. And that's as hot as it would get on the cooling gauge. I finally hit 170 degrees. It took forever. I think I said 140 earlier, but I meant 170. You get 170 and then it'll allow you to do a contribution test, which is what we're doing now. You see the whole camera shaking, but so we'll let it cycle through this test and see what it says. Alright, let me see if you guys can see this. It says cylinder number 7. It's hard as hell to read. It's like a P0281. Yeah. We ended up pulling a number 7 contribution code. So the next step, we talked to the customer, and the next step is we're going to do a compression test. We don't want to put any good parts on top of a bad engine. So we'll do a compression test to make sure that cylinder is okay. If it is, then we are going to check the what I'm looking for here. We're going to lab scope this thing and check the current ramp and firing time of that injector. Compare it to a known good one. And then if that all checks good, given the mileage, I'm going to recommend 8 injectors, but $350 for one, so you may just want to put one in it. So to be continued. So I'm going to pop this valve cover off, get to the number 7 injector, which is way back there in the back, or actually I'm going to access the glow plug so I can, I'm just going to do a compression test on that cylinder. If it's out of whack, I may do it on one side or something like that. I suspect it's going to be okay though. This truck doesn't smoke or anything. But it'd be really bad if you put an injector in it and then find out you got a bent rod or a broken piston or something like that. On the very first year model of the 7.3 Power Stroke, you couldn't get, this box was a part of the entire evaporator case, so you pretty much had to take the whole case off to get the valve cover off or the injector out. But then they made, in 95, they made that piece removable, so makes it a little easier, and always you had to get creative. So gonna pop all this mess off here, and then we'll look at doing a compression test. I don't know if you can see what I was pointing at. It's the little box under all that tinfoil right there. I'll show you when I get it apart. I'm a little pressed for time on this thing, amongst everything I gotta do. So that's why I wasn't gonna film taking the valve cover off. I mean, it's just nuts and bolts, pretty straightforward. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Before we do that, let's actually do a injector buzz test, because I was taking this thing apart. Here's the vacuum reservoir, by the way. It's got two bolts, one on the bottom, one on the top. That frees up all this room down in here. Anyway, I took the map sensor and laid it over, and the hose is ripped. It's not even connected to the intake manifold there. That should cause some boost issues. There's where it's supposed to be, and the hose is laid over. And the connector looks a little funny on that connector. So let's do the old buzz test, the old buzzard test here. Let's see what it sounds like. Now on these, there it is. On these, the OBD connector is way over here for some reason. I guess they're just trying to be different. So we've got our vehicle selected, diagnostic data link. Let's do you can't see this thing for anything. Injector electrical self-test. Start, key on, go. Alright, number 7 didn't buzz. Let me do it again in case you didn't hear it. So we'll exit, and then let's see, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, injector. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. So that tiny little that is not a buzz. The injector actually didn't do anything. You'll get kind of a ghost buzz from the injector driver module, the IDM. So we're gonna pop the valve cover off anyway, because I need to look under there, and we'll probably do a compression test anyway too. But now we got to check the wiring and the injector itself. And on something like this, we can actually just swap the connectors from 7 to 5 and redo it. And if 5 is not doing anything, then we're dealing with a harness issue or an IDM issue. So let me get a little further along and then we'll check that. Let's do a little least intrusive testing while we're here. I actually happen to have the harness connector to test under this valve cover. The chances of finding that at a Ford dealership are next to none, but we have one, so let's check it out. Now, you don't have to have it, but it makes life easy, so you don't have to sit here and try to get into here with a voltmeter trying to get down into there. So the two red leads are the glow plugs. I usually use a test light to check them, but as these things get some age on them, the glow plugs short out, and then you get some really really low resistances. I'm just going directly to battery ground with my black lead of my meter. So that glow plug is not working. 8.8 ohms. And that one doesn't work either. It's 25.4. Let's check the injectors. So that's the power coming in. About 3.5. 3.5, so that's good. Now let's check this injector to the glow plug. Nothing there. That's good. So we definitely need 2 glow plugs. So let's continue with valve cover R&R. So everything looks pretty decent under here. Pop this glow plug out. Out of the way. I'm going to do a compression test. Alright, so I've got the tripod sitting on the belt, so we're going to have to relocate you. So I'm going to use my remote starter button because I've got it. Might as well use it. On these you can just jump the solenoid out with a screwdriver. Or tool of choice, but I've got the correct tools, so paid for it, might as well use it. Alright, we're looking at 420, which is perfect. So there's my remote starter. We've just got it hooked to the solenoid, the battery. Red light, we're good. Let's see how this thing buzzes with the injector unplugged. So let me plug the harness back in. Unplug the injector. We do a buzz test. So that's what I was talking about with that phantom buzz, if you will. It kind of jiggles all the others, even though that one's unplugged. It should be nothing. Nothing should happen. We obviously buzzed on number 7. So I just happen to have, let me turn the key back off. There's 110 volts sitting right there anytime the key is on. Anyway, I just happen to have a known good injector. So instead of having to get some jump wires and move this guy to here to see if it buzzes or not, I can just plug this one in. Let's see what happens. Alright, let's rebuzz. I want to verify this wiring's good because I get a strange buzz even on that replacement injector, test injector. So harness goes up over the engine and across this valve cover and then to this connector, the screw together connector right under this master cylinder, and it's rubbing really bad right there, this air box. I'll pop this air box out of here and have a look at this wiring. I had a recall on these. And you upgrade it from this style to this style, but looks like this one only got half the recall. These air filters never got replaced. They're so aggravating to deal with. You just let them ride. These little retainers, the studs that stick up, they fall down into the air box, and then you couldn't get them started. And, oh man, this one's not even wanting to cooperate. There it is. Was not a fun time. I'd say the turbos are pretty tough though. They withstand a lot of dirt ingestion. Vehicle. See how that slide in and out of there? It's real difficult too. Real simple. Someone's even put a piece of cardboard on there to try to retain it. Try to pry in the right location. Not in too bad a shape. Got the lab scope fired up here. It's not the most handy thing to work with, but it's what I got, so it's what I use. And speaking of unhandy, the wiring that feeds this IDM, she's rather large. So I didn't want to just kind of jump out the fuse, so I just flipped the box over, and I've got my 50 amp clamp hooked around the power wire to the IDM module there. Let's fire it up and see what it looks like. So we'll click on this little running guy here, get him running, and start the truck. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The number 7 cylinder is way down. I mean, just every time it comes around. So let's expand this out. So that's about the best I'm going to get a picture of number 7. And it's just does not have what we need. So she's definitely, the injector's chooched. It's not injecting. So let's compare our tester injector to our one that's in the vehicle now, our presumed bad one. And let's take a look at what it's drawing. So we need injector number 7, which is a tan or red wire. Let's hook around that wire. So that's injector number 5. It's very difficult to catch this old girl. Now let's go to injector number 7. So that's number 7 and looks almost identical to number 5. So we can safely say that the IDM is driving that injector and asking it to deliver fuel, and it is not delivering fuel. So let's put an injector in it.